Welcome back to the second part of Enoch's portals, the movement of the luminaries. I'm not getting too much into that with this video. Check out video 1, it's mostly in there, but I'm just expanding on a few things that have come to my mind concerning that. And the video cut out before I got to describing this black hole incident here. Design here, so we'll go over it. Check out video one first though. This is the central vortex of creation, right? It's sitting above the central Arctic. Our whole realm exists in there, and it's all projected out into our realm. So we're a simulation, and it's all coming from there. Now you get down to the black hole. This is the Milky Way. Two ends. You've got the sun in the middle, the black hole where they tell you Sagittarius A is. You have the male entity coming in this way, the female coming up out of the water this way. Where they meet is where you get the electrical charge, which is the sun. But it's all concerning magnetism, plasma, just like they're trying to figure things out in the tokamak, or create cold nuclear fusion. There's another image of it, right? You see that Milky Way across your sky at night. Now, so our whole realm's about water, moisture, atmospheric lensing. We're classed as the second state. We're not the truth. The truth is back here, and we've been expanded out, created into a dual entity. So we're basically false. We're not the truth. This is why we get a lot of lies in this world. It's basically classed as hell, but people don't want to think of it that way. When you look out there, it's a beautiful world, but mentally it's hell. You're down here in hell. Consciously. Up there is heaven. So we've come from this place of singularity, where the male and the female have become one. This is what's formed the sun, creates the sun. And this is the whole idea of spiritual enlightenment, is becoming one, being brought back to singularity from our dual physical world, where you're the female out here or you're the male out here, and you've got to seek the other partner in the physical world. But in the divine enlightenment, this spiritual other half comes into you, where you are united. You don't become flippin' gay or anything, you're just united as one in here. You don't long for anything really in the physical world. You're quite happy with your own space. You don't feel lonely anymore. And this is the whole meaning to life. Okay? Now, when you look at the black hole, things started coming to my head, drawing all this around here and imagining the water and the mirroring effect and all that. And I thought of the mirrors around here, and that sort of brought me to the Bruce Lee movie Enter the Dragon. So Bruce is in there fighting in this room surrounded by mirrors, right? And it's a bit like our realm, fighting Mr. Evil Hands, right? Well, imagine that, and then you think, well, what was the Milky Way referred to in ancient mythological stories? The dragon. The dragon. He is in the Milky Way. The dragon is the Milky Way. And this is all about the divine enlightenment, is you getting your full moon in this alignment. So the sun will come, see the sun moves around the black hole. This is moving around our realm, because the sun is in the Milky Way, so the Milky Way has to come along and swing over the full moon, and it does that every month, okay, because the moon is directly behind the sun. Which is hard to describe in this image here, because I've always shown it to be the sun here shining across the black hole. So if the moon comes along to here, it's new moon, you don't see it, it's in the light of the sun. So it has to be at the other end, full moon, it's behind the sun. Okay? But that's something to do with the female entity being down here in the vortex, because the moon's moving her cycle down here in this feminine half of the cycle. The Milky Way male is up here. So the moon is doing its track down here. But anyway, the Milky Way swings over and catches the moon. So you want to be looking out for your moon sign coming this particular time of the year, which is here. Early September, early March. Depends on which hemisphere you're into. But, you know, coming down here, that's the crossover, okay? Now, at this time of the year, there's 30 minutes difference between day and night. 30 minutes, it's the 3 again. And, you know, Jesus is supposed to have been here for 30, arrived at 30 and gone by 30. Well, in actual truth, it's 33 and gone by 3:33, because that's when the moon becomes full and locked in that Milky Way. Full moon was at 3:03, and then the whole event, Divine Awakening event, was all over by 3:33. It was 30 minutes. And then you have that 30 minutes between day and night. It's just 30 minutes. Okay? So, and then you've got to think, well, and it's to do with this point here, your arc of horizon. This is the alignment between the two hemisphere chariot wheels. It's this divine point, this narrow point. It's mentioned a lot in all the ancient stuff. It's even Enki and Enel or whatever it is, and Gilgamesh mythological stories. They explain it quite well. Those early Sumerian ones, you know. Where was I going? Oh, so this, you think this would be at midnight. But no, it's at 3 in the morning. So once again you've got another 3, because it's 3 hours after midnight. So there's a 3 hour, there's some big secret in our realm. It's to do with the 3 hours. So you've got a 3 hour difference here. You've got a 30-minute difference in day and night here. And you've got this difference between this crossing and the equinox being the balance, and having the sun center to the celestial equator. But this is 17 days, so I don't know. So that 17 days brings me back to the Akhenaten. Akhenaten ruled for 17 days, right? In the mythological story, but it's all garbage. They don't understand any of it. So I'll get into a bit of information on Akhenaten in a minute. Okay? So you're going to be looking out for your moon sign at this period, at somewhere between midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning. And we know the magnetic field on Earth is the strongest at 3 in the morning apparently, or thereabouts. Okay? So yeah, so that's the dragon, and Bruce Lee's fighting hands in the dragon. Enter the dragon in the glass mirrored room. Pretty weird, eh? That's Hollywood for you. They know. Male meteor showers coming out of the male half of the Milky Way. Check that one out. I haven't looked into that too much, but you probably have the female coming out of the female part. They come down to the fair maidens, which is the pregnant females. And these meteor showers basically going into the eggs of the female fetus of the female pregnant woman. That's what meteor showers are all about. So another depiction of this, the way the cycle of the earth works, the female coming up through here, but some pass and carry on down to the the Cancer side of the tropics, the dielectric plate on this side, hits the ground, goes straight down to the ground because it can't get past this through this dielectric, goes down across the ground, up, and then over this way, and then to Capricorn, that dielectric plate, then down to the ground, back up here again. It's the whole cycling system. You've got the male entity through the water, the molecule, come up through the middle here, in the tropical gap. We get a lot of moisture in the tropics, rises up, comes up and over, into the male side, into that Milky Way that comes out of the tropics. We see the sun at this end of the Milky Way, which is down in the tropics. It's the image we see, the image, but the real sun is back in the centre. Check out, for the rest of that, check out video 1. So I'll read you some information I have here. Yeah, well, the first bit is about the tilting. All their rubbish about the tilting earth, it's just a joke, isn't it? Because when you look at, I'll rub some of this off. So there's their ball earth, there's the equator. Well, we've got a sun and a lemma like this. There's the tropical gap, say. And then you have another one like this. Well, they don't show you two and they don't tell you about two, is there? But there is two. In the southern hemisphere we see this one. In the northern hemisphere you'll see that one. All within your arc of horizon. If you were to stand there filming the whole image over a whole year. That's your one, that's ours. Look, that's classed as the feet. That's classed as the feet. You can't have a big fiery ball of a sun 93 million miles away when you've got an inner lemma doing opposite directions here, which with the tilting, all the tilting bullshit, it's right there, 100% proof you don't live on a ball, but people are too thick to see it. Well, never been told actually, maybe not too thick, but you know. Yeah, I like to be hard on the spinning ballers. People just believe things without any critical thinking or their own personal research. It's just all programming from school, indoctrination. See, it cannot work. But it works on the flat earth, because if you take that as a flat earth and the tropical gap is around here, there's your sun's and the lemma. And there's the other one that comes out of there, sun's and a lemma. They both meet because there's two hemispheres. There's a gap. You've got to have this gap here though. And this is the feet, where Jesus washes his feet on the side of the Nile, because this is classed as water. And all ancient mythological stories are classed as water, the river, even the fisher. I mentioned that in a previous video. The fisher king. Where the father stays in the castle back in the main part of this, because this is classed as the beast, all the energy's in there, and all the cattle are out here, dispersed, because that energy field in there is equal to all of this. But look how it's all stretched out, right? So you get cattle out here, you get the beast in there. In the Fisher King mythological story, the master stays in, the king stays in there, or the father, and the son, which is all about this sun, goes out to meet the guests. He goes out this tropical gap to meet the guests. Well, who are the guests? And you'll find this in the Enki mythological stories too. The guests, they mention the word guests. And that is the holy one, the holy man, the enlightened one coming to be reborn. He's the divine entity. It doesn't happen to everybody. He's coming. And the story goes on about how he meets the guests and they go fishing. They go fishing. So imagine this is the Tropic of Capricorn. Capricorn, this one's Cancer. Cancer. This is this top of the mountains up here basically. And it's all about this falling down here. This gap. And this divine gap I'll get into later maybe, but it's in association with the tropical gap, but this is the divine period. And this is all about in the Bible when they talk about when it's going to happen, end times and all that. End times is the end of the constellation when this man comes and he is reborn. And they talk about earthquakes and all this terrible stuff. It's just the way the story goes. They turn into some crazy story. Well, the earthquakes, what happens in an earthquake? This is what happens. What do you call them? The plates, tectonic plates. It's going in like this. And this is what's happening in the seasonal change. It's to do with this. Because in the southern hemisphere in the winter season, leading up to the, your June solstice, the sky moves this way. Everything moves this way towards the north. Towards the north. And it's going down into Amente, the underworld. But then that all comes out again, doesn't it? It all comes back out again. So there's this two-way system going on. And this is the unseen. What's in here? It's the secret to our whole realm. You've got to get your head around that. It's mind-blowing. So it's that. Where else are we? So the tilting ball garbage of the earth is just destroyed. Completely destroyed. So as I say, we're 30 minutes out here in equilibrium day and night, but down here it's about 8 minutes. Back in the day, when the equinoxes were first observed by the Greek astronomer Hipparchus in 130 BC, this point lay in the constellation Aries. So the exact point in which the sun crosses the celestial equator during the spring equinox is known as the first point of Aries. So it's like I say, think about the mirror effect of creation. We're being a bit deceived about where that point is, I think. Day and night. Because I can't figure out why there's this difference yet. Yeah. What have we got here? Like the sun, the earth has a magnetic field. Like the sun, the earth has a magnetic field known as a dipole field. Dipole field. This means the earth has two magnetic poles. Di meaning two. One at the North Pole and one at the South Pole. These magnetic poles are different to the geographic poles and do not stay still relative to the earth. They wander as the lines of Earth's magnetic field feed into the... well, the sun and the earth are one, aren't they? Because the sun governs the magnetic field. It's all feeding back into the sun. That's what drives the sun. So that's the chariot wheels driving the sun, because as the magnetic field from the north and the south are coming together like this, it's driving the sun around. But you've got to imagine it's all turning back in here, so it's a bit tricky. The days are currently getting longer. What have we got here? The fourth bell, and then you go back to Osiris to do with the tropical gap. And the connection, you got O. I was trying to relate Osiris with Isis, trying to put them together as the male and the female entity. You go O, search out O, and the Semitic form may have derived from an earlier sign representing an eye. It's all about the eye of Horus or the eye of Ra. And you look at the flat earth design, the black hole pupil, tuned to the black hole of creation. Then you've got the tropical gap, which is the iris, Osiris. And we're talking about the sun aligning through here. And the tomb, this is the tomb, okay, as well. There's a bit more to that story, but anyway, Who was first to the tomb when Jesus got locked in there for 3 days? So that's the 3 days of balance here, or the 3 days the moon was in the sign of Pisces, which is in there, and it's all to do with Sagittarius, because that September Sagittarius is the Milky Way, isn't it? It's in here in the Milky Way. They show you that in science. The black hole, Sagittarius A. Well, who was in the tomb? She was present, Mary Magdalene. She was present at the tomb, the first person to whom Jesus appeared after his resurrection. So she's there. She's the moon. Mary is the moon, and the first to preach the good news of that miracle. These are among the few specific assertions made by Mary Magdalene in the Gospels. What does the root word of mag mean in Latin? Splendidly, greatly, terrifically. To go, to move. Obviously everything's moving. Go. Sun catches up and lays over her. Latin, great. What does mega mean in Buddhism? Mega, the middle way. Middle, well there's the middle of creation. And then you got the middle inside the tomb, in the middle way. Or this is middle way on your arc of horizon. That's the alignment when all the divine stuff happens, which is known as the eightfold path. Eightfold, when you look at the mythological stories, you have 8 phases of the moon around here, because in there's number 9, special place. The Buddhists believe this is both the way to wisdom and mental training they need to achieve the way of morality. Buddhists believe this is the cure that was given by the Buddha for suffering. We're suffering down here in the physical world. You raise up, go through a second birth, your whole divine enlightenment is what they're talking about here. Wisdom. This is where they talk about a lot of wisdom in the Bible and mythological stories. The wise men, the ancient philosophers. Wisdom, the truth, understanding the truth from bullshit. Magna means great man in Latin. That was the end of that. I'll do a few other notes I have here. I printed off Enoch's luminaries, underlined a lot of stuff. It gets really difficult to explain. It's all over the place, and I'll just end up sounding like one big mumbled up story. But the essence of it is I pick up is the moon takes energy from the sun for half its cycle, then returns the energy, or returns back. She's coming out, going back in, just like your heart does, pumps in and pumps out. Out or in and out, in and out. That's what she's doing. So she's taking energy out and bringing back maybe bad energy, I don't know. But that's the way it works. So, Akhenaten. So you break the word down metallogically. Aten. Aten equals art, equals skill or craft. Crafty. Because there's crafty stuff going on here, because you do not see it. Man does not understand this. Even Enoch. It says, I should find that actually. Where is it? And thus she rises, moon 18th, light 18th, portal circumference 14th, not there. Rises exactly on 4th, remaining rising peculiar course. And in certain months she pursues her own peculiar course. Stations reckoning. Where is that? me. Transfer remaining force referred to further rising. No. It's underlined there somewhere about how about the 4 days that man has been deceived. But then he spreads them out over these different portals. So anyway, moving on. Arten, skill or craft. Artisan, person skilled at making things. Art in Greek is connected to knowledge. Ancient Greek philosophy is connected to that. Wisdom. Art, meaning in Hebrew, the conscious use of skill. Khan, supreme or chief ruler. Arten, the conscious use of the imagination in the production of objects intended to be contemplated or appreciated as beautiful, as in the arrangements of forms, sounds or words. There's another thing about words, sounding out words. I've told a lot of you guys to go and read The Desire of Ages or listen to the audio. Now, I read it the first time round and it gave me the whole flat earth design in conjunction with, or in correlation with the ancient Egyptians, which brought me to all this information. But recently, after telling a lot of people to go and listen to it or read it, I've listened to most of it. I'm right up to chapter 60 and not a word concerning the flat earth design like the first time, because I only listened to it. This is why you have to read ancient scripture in the Bibles. You don't have to say the word out loud, but you're saying the word in your mind, because our whole realm is a conscious state anyway. So you're just saying the word in your mind gives you the spiritual story. So avoid the audio I'm telling you now. You have to read it. Like all the whole Nag Hammadi library. You read it. Not necessarily out loud though. So it's the sounds in your minds, okay? You'll get the story. You'll gain the spiritual insight that you need to really understand it. But some of you might pick up something, I don't know. The secrets are in the sounds, not necessarily verbally, but pronounced in the mind. Why I mention Akhenaten is because it is written, he ruled for 17 days. There's 17 days between there and there. And there's 17 days between the full solar eclipse, 21st of August, to the 6th of September too. Which is weird. And you know, the whole religious story, the earth went dark, you know. It's all following the solar eclipse. And apparently there's a lunar eclipse aligned with that as well. So that's the feminine half. So she goes through her thing, and the male goes through his thing with the solar eclipse. Arkan. Hindu means eye. So you're back to the eye again, the tropical gap. So it's understanding the whole concept of the eye thing and the hanging, the noose, the neck in here. Aki, eye, a knot on a bamboo. So this takes you to something else too, the energy of the sun, because Akhenaten's all about the sun. You might have seen a video online where you've got the tree and where they have those knots in the tree. That's the most energy in the tree. They're putting copper through here because you're getting copper from energy from the atmosphere stabbed into the ground, or just the tree trunk, the roots of the tree are bringing the energy up this way. So bring this wire to here, this wire to here, or there next to the nodal points basically. Because you've got these nodal points in our net over our earth where we see the sun, with the crossing of the positive and negative meet. Well, these are the highest energy points. So bring the wire up, and these two wires come together and they create a light bulb, energy in the light.